returned, we were so surprised to find a watermelon probably about like this size was growing. I don't understand why something is going well. How then can I keep it going well? Hi, I'm Jenny. Welcome to my channel where I pretty much just talk about a bunch of different things that I like. Sometimes that includes books, sometimes that includes movies, sometimes I talk about gardening, sometimes I talk about different things that I've tried, traveling. It really just depends on the week, to be honest with you. Today, however, we are going to be talking about gardening, but hold on, not just the process of gardening, but specifically growing watermelons and how those watermelons revealed something really, really crucial to me about my anxiety and how to deal with it. So let's dive into it. So for context, I live in South Florida where it is very, very warm and our gardening seasons are very different. During the summertime, I grow very, very few things. We actually grow more during our fall and winter months because that's when it is more mild weather. In the summer, it's just way too hot. So last year, I planted a couple of watermelon seeds from a local watermelon that I had found at a local, farm or whatever, and it did not do well. Every day I would just watch the leaves. There were like two little leaves that grew, and every day I would just watch them crisp up more and more. So this year I tried again. I figured last year maybe I had planted the watermelon too late because again, Florida summer is it's so insanely hot here. So I planted two seeds this time. I even made a whole watermelon patch. I laid down mulch and stuff to keep the moisture in because it's really crucial for watermelons to get a consistent, good moisture. And I kind of just hoped for the best. Even though I planted it earlier than what I originally did last year, I still planted it just a little bit too late, so I knew that I was pushing my luck. Every day I would go out to my garden, I make my little rounds and check up on everything, and I would just kind of cast a little cautious glance to the watermelons, not really wanting to look, just fully expecting it to be dead every single day that I went out there. But every day it was just getting stronger. It was getting greener. The vines were growing longer. If you don't know how watermelons grow, they vine out. And from one seed, you can get a 6x6 patch of vines that are fully just covering that area. So after a couple months, I was surprised that the watermelon plant was still alive and I wasn't doing anything to it other than watering it consistently. Unless it rained or whatever, I would water it. I didn't fertilize it. I did nothing, literally nothing. When it started putting out flowers, because the way that a watermelon grows is there are male and female flowers that have to be pollinated, or the male flowers pollinate the female flowers. And they say to do that by hand if you don't have a lot of pollinators in your garden, which I don't. My garden is really small. So I would go out there and I would pollinate them. But I mean, nothing really came of it. My husband and I were going on this long trip for 2 weeks. I pollinated a couple of flowers before we left. We had somebody come and water our garden. And when we returned, we were so surprised to find a watermelon probably about this size was growing in the patch. And it wasn't ready to be picked yet. I knew that because everything was still really green around it. You don't pick watermelon until certain things die around it. The vines start crapping out. So I knew that the watermelon was not ready yet. And it just kind of felt like a win, to be honest with you. I did absolutely nothing to accomplish it other than, I guess, pollinating the flower. I did nothing. Every other aspect of my garden, all the other things that I've been growing in it, I would say I give them a decent amount of attention. I'm trying to think about, when do I fertilize, if I have to fertilize. I don't know, just keeping my eye on it. The watermelons, though, like I said, I didn't really expect much, so I just kind of let it go. But something happened after that first watermelon showed up. Suddenly, I started worrying about it. I started thinking about it. I started worrying if I should be fertilizing it. I started worrying if I was underwatering it. It started raining a lot more here in Florida. And so I worried about it getting a soggy bottom and they can rot out from the bottom from sitting in moisture too much. I worried about if I should be trimming the vines, if I should be cutting off dead leaves from the vines. I worried about pests coming into it. We get these worms that they kind of wrap themselves up in the leaves. They kind of eat the leaves and then they, cocoon and then they become these, I don't know if they're like a moth or something like that, but I get them a lot on my pumpkins, and I really hadn't gotten any on my watermelons, and then I got a couple and I started really worrying about that on the watermelon plant. Basically, it was just everything was going so well with the watermelon plant, and I wanted it to keep going so well, to the point that then I started worrying that it wouldn't go so well, if that makes sense. I mean, I am a novice gardener. I call myself an accidental gardener because I started gardening from this tomato that my friend had brought over, and it started sprouting. It's like the seeds started sprouting from inside the tomato, and I was so fascinated by it that I planted the seeds, and from that came all this. I started just gardening more because I just really enjoyed it, but I really don't know what I'm doing. And so when something's going well in my garden, I don't know why it's going well. And that's a really stressful thing for somebody like me. And I think for a lot of people who struggle with anxiety and control, and even I've struggled with obsessive compulsive disorder, I don't know if I don't understand why something is going well, how then can I keep it going well? That's always my concern, always my worry. And so with the watermelons, like I said, I didn't know why it was going well. So I didn't know how to keep it going well. And I started really worrying that the plant was going to die, that I was going to kill it, and not even realize like why I killed it. This is where I started to become aware of my anxiety. And I started to become aware that this was actually like my worrying about the watermelon plant because it was going well, and like worrying that I would ruin it or that it would, die. I've started to realize that this was indicative of a bigger issue that I've always struggled with. Whenever something is going well in my life, I worry that it's going to die. I worry that I'm going to ruin it. And in worrying that I'm going to ruin it, I end up ruining it with my anxiety, with my control. It's like if something out of my control is going well, I need to seize control of it. And then, I don't know, I just kill it somehow. It's happened with different hobbies that I've had. It's happened with jobs that I've had. I get so fearful when things are going well because in my mind, that means they're going to eventually go bad. And that's a really, really awful and really stressful and anxious way to live, obviously. So here are a few things that I have learned from this watermelon growing experience. Number one, sometimes things go well despite me. Like, I planted those watermelon seeds. Yes, I watered it. Yes, I pollinated the flowers in hopes that a watermelon would grow. But beyond that, I didn't cause that watermelon to grow. All I did was put that seed in the ground, water it, and pollinate the flower. Like beyond that, I did nothing. That seed had everything that it needed. The soil, I guess, had everything that it needed in order to grow a watermelon. And not just one watermelon, by the way. That watermelon plant ended up producing in total 6 watermelons and 4 watermelons that we were able to harvest and eat. And it was wonderful. We lost 2 of them to some storms that we had and just from sitting in water and some rot. But the other 4 were pretty great. And I documented that on my Instagram as well. The watermelons grew despite me. And sometimes good things happen despite me. Like I don't need to be in control all the time for good things to happen. And that's such a fear that I have, that if I am not in control, then good things will never happen. Number 2, when something good is happening, the more I worry about it, the more I focus on it, the more I try to seize control of it, the more likely that it's going to go bad, that it's going to die. Because if something good is happening despite my involvement, that means it really didn't need me that much. And this is something that I do think there's a balance to, because there are, like, for example, one of the, like I mentioned, a couple of the watermelons we lost to soggy bottoms. And when we saw that, we took the other 3 or 4 watermelons that were growing, and my husband helped me, and we took some sticks and we propped up the watermelons, so just so that they wouldn't be sitting in the wet mulch in between like the really heavy rains that we were getting. That was a really, I think, moderate involvement. But I wasn't worrying, or well, I was worrying about it internally, but like I was trying not to worry about it, right? So I put them on the sticks and I walked away, and I literally said to myself, okay, like we'll see what happens. If we lose them, that's okay. And I found myself having to say that often. And if you struggle with anxiety, if you struggle with control, like then that's going to make sense to you. If you don't struggle with it, you're going to think that's really stupid and silly that like you have to walk away from your watermelons, like assuring yourself like it's okay if they die. Because I mean, how inconsequential is a watermelon in the grand scheme of things, right? But if you are somebody who does struggle with anxiety and struggles with control and even struggles with obsessive compulsive disorder, then you will understand that, and you will understand that perfectly. So I had to walk away from those watermelons, prop them up on the sticks. It was one small thing and say, okay, that's it. I don't need to do anything else. I'm going to walk away, and it's okay if they die. And that's it. I just need to do what I need to do, and I need to get out of there, both mentally, like get out of there in my mind, go do something else, and also just, physically, like do them whatever I need to do. So I had to put the sticks up, or I had to prop up the watermelons on the sticks, and then I leave, and then that's it, leave it alone kind of thing. And I did find that that made the experience a lot less anxiety producing, because I was very much aware of how my anxiety was ruining the experience of growing watermelons. And so that's the third thing that I want to talk about that I did learn, is that my anxiety and my need to control has absolutely just sucked all the joy out of pretty much every hobby. Everything that I have enjoyed, it has sucked the joy out of it. I mean, going way back, it happened with singing when I was in high school and my early college years. It's happened with writing. It's happened with painting. It has, like, every time I get a hobby that I enjoy and that, I maybe experience a little bit of success with. And when I say success, I don't mean that like business success. I just mean like, hey, I'm kind of good at this. I really enjoy doing this. This is relieving my anxiety, or it's giving me something to focus on. It's just enjoyable, right? It's feeding my soul in some way. My anxiety and my control and my obsessive compulsive patterns just hijacks that. And I realized that with the watermelon, I felt it in real time. Like, wait a second, this is a hobby that I really enjoy. This is something that is supposed to be quite literally life-giving, right? It's like producing food. And also, like, I was getting my hands in the soil. I was getting out in the sun. Those are things that are really, really good for somebody like me. And I was so conscious of the fact that, like, my anxiety was robbing me of that joy. And then lastly, the last thing that I realized, and I kind of already stated this, but I've just realized that I complain a lot about how things don't go well in my life. And I'm realizing that I am the one that sabotages most of what actually happens in my life. I am the one who stops good things from happening when they get going, because I'm afraid that they're going, like, because I am so afraid of things failing and dying in my life that I am the one to kill those things so that I don't have to endure the pain of them dying on their own, if that makes sense. Like, in the way that my process goes is like, well, this is going to go bad anyway. This is going to die. This is going to end. Like, everything's going to fall apart. So I might as well just end it now. And I'm not like very like that. Those aren't very like conscious thoughts. I'm becoming more and more aware of them as I get older, but they're not super conscious thoughts. They're happening in the background. So those are just some of the things I've learned. Gardening has not been easy. And especially where I live, gardening is insane. Like, it's nothing like what I ever experienced. Actually, I've never gardened before, but it's definitely really difficult to garden where I live, I think. And it's taught me a lot. And it's funny because when I was younger, I loved using the image of a garden to, I don't know, kind of process my inner thoughts. Like, I would imagine my heart to be like a garden, and I would write poems and I would write stories. And that was a way for me to really process my inner thoughts, talking about things that were growing, things that were dying. I would write a lot about a gardener that was in my garden, helping me or teaching me. And I mean, I've even written stuff where I leave the garden and, metaphorically leaving my own heart, like turning away from who I am or who I was meant to be. So I find it really apropos that I now garden, and all of these thoughts are kind of coming back, and everything that was metaphorical for me when I was a younger person now is becoming real, I guess. And I don't know, it's like growing the watermelons. I'm realizing these things in real time of like, oh my gosh, like the patience necessary in life and how sometimes things just do happen without us touching it. I mean, you look at like all the nature in the world and like so much just grows and it doesn't need me. And sometimes it does need us though too. So anyway, that's all I have for today. Those are just my thoughts. I hope that you'll like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.